Hi everyone, thank you all for tuning back into the Mummy Means Business podcast. Today I'm here with Keighley. Keighley is a mother of two beautiful boys and she's also a social worker. So Keighley and I have started to become close recently because both of our little boys are only 2 days apart, and they even have the same similar mannerisms, and it's just been really cool to have her as a friend. There's been times where I've literally just been sad or down, and she's so easy to talk to because we're like literally going through the same thing at the same time. So I thought it would be really great to have her on this podcast just to have a chat with her about motherhood and work and business, etc. So thank you, Keighley, for agreeing to be on the podcast.
Yay! You're welcome. I'm glad to be of assistance.
Yay. So you have your second boy, who's a few months old, but how did you find out when you were pregnant? Like, what was your reaction to that?
Oh gosh. So I was literally at work one day, or at my placement, because I was studying my master's in social work. So I was at my placement and I found that I was going a few days prior, I found like I was kept going to the toilet. I was like, oh gosh, what's going on? But I didn't think anything of it at the time, really, due to the symptoms that I had been getting. Something just said to me, just take a test. So I bought one on my way home from placement. I took it and it was positive. I was by myself. I was literally, if I'm honest, I was actually quite distraught. You know, without going too much into it, it was just, being in the church and being unmarried and things like that. It was like, what's everyone going to say? How has this happened to me? You know, and yeah, so it was a massive shock, to be honest.
And how long did you feel shocked for? Like when did it finally sink in? Because
It still hasn't sunk in.
even with him being out in the
With him
world.
being here and out, it still hasn't sunk in. No, I think once I accepted the reality, once I, decided that it wouldn't be fair on him for me to be stressing on myself. I spoke to family, friends, people in my church, my pastor, and I think once I'd done that and realized, how great my support network was, um, I just realized that it is what it is, and I just have to kind of, just get on with it. And yeah, I guess over time I just got used to the idea. It's not to say I never ever wanted children again. It was just how it happened as opposed to anything else.
Was it kind of hard to having to be a mum again, especially because you have an older boy who's how is it 10 years old
10,
or
yeah, he's 10
yes,
now.
so you have an older boy who's 10 years old, and now you have your second who's a baby. So
Hmm.
how was it? You must have been, did you forget almost like how it is to wake up in the night, do the night feeds and night changes and all of that stuff?
Yeah, oh, definitely. I think they say once you've waited 10 years, it's basically like doing it all over again. It's brand new, isn't it? So I think I just kind of leaned upon people that, are mothers themselves, just to get that sort of advice and help. Um, Even my sister, we were going through the same thing at the same time. So just speaking to everyone, asking questions, not being afraid to kind of ask questions as well. But yeah, I did literally feel like I'd forgotten a lot of it. Um, yeah, but I guess it was still an enjoyable experience as well.
Yeah, because then you basically were like a new mum twice
Yeah.
with. And it's kind of nice because I enjoy being a new mum with Xavier, and even though I couldn't imagine how it would be like. I think before, when I was pregnant, I just had this fantasy in my mind of how motherhood will be like and how having Xavier will be like, and then now living in it is completely different. It's even better. Like there's so much joy that motherhood and being having a baby brings. And I said this to my friends, some of my friends who are married and they don't have kids, and I said, you know what, if I knew what I know now, I would have had kids earlier.
Oh, okay, wow. Yeah, that is actually, yeah, it's good to hear that because I actually agree. I think, it's such a joyful experience. It's so rewarding. I feel like doing it this time round has been so much different as well. I don't know if it's because I'm older, I'm maturer, life experiences and things like that. I've been able to make different choices, do you know what I mean? And just be um a better, or not to say I wasn't a good mum, but I was much younger, I was only 20 at the time. But this time round, I feel like it's very different. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And I think people say to me, oh my gosh, how do you cope? And, how is he? And he's absolutely amazing. I wouldn't change it for the world. As hard as it can be sometimes, I think
It's a
it's just
blessing.
great. Yeah.
But
You look at them every day and it's like, wow, a child, a whole baby.
what is the biggest difference between your first motherhood experience and this motherhood experience?
It's definitely my age. I think at the time I didn't know, as I said before, I didn't know what I know now. In terms of, just being patient, just stimulation. At the time back then, it was all about, trying to still live this youthful life, keeping up with my friends and what they were doing, and, letting my mum have my child so I can always be out and things like that. Whereas now I think it's really important for me to be here throughout these crucial months and, years of his life, and just really invest in your children. At the time, I didn't really understand that. I was a young mum having a baby. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I think for me, that's one of the biggest things. I really enjoy spending time with Zakai, talking to him, laughing with him. Like he loves being stimulated. He loves his toys and things
Oh,
like that. Do you know what I mean? So I just think, just knowing how to look after them. I guess with experience, you kind of just learn. And I have a lot of nieces and nephews, so I've had a lot of practice with them as well. Even though I get to give them back, whereas I can't give Zakai back. To be fair.
but
And he's
Zakai
constantly
is
on the breast as well.
he's such a beautiful and calm baby.
No, he literally is. Even now, he just sat here
Just
and he's
listening
just
to you.
listening to my conversation. He's so observant, like, he just is inquisitive. He's always looking around, staring into my eyes and things like that. So I just think, and also another difference, sorry, just to quickly say, he's exclusively breastfed. He will not touch formula. He won't even drink from a bottle. He doesn't take a dummy. So it's literally me and him all the time.
What? Just because he doesn't want to?
Yeah, because I've tried to, get him onto the bottle. In the first few weeks, I think I had to leave him to go somewhere, and my mum had him, and his dad also tried him with the bottle, and he took it. But then over time, he just absolutely point blank refuses now.
When the breast is
And
that good, he's just like, no,
yeah, not having it.
no, not having it. Sorry.
And sometimes that can actually be quite tough, because there are times when I want to go out for a few hours or whatever, and it's like, I'm anxious. Is he going to be okay? And he doesn't take the bottle. I can't leave him until he starts taking it, till he's one, till he's eating. All these different thoughts just go through my mind. But yeah, I guess it's, part of motherhood. Motherhood, we make a lot of sacrifices. So
And breastfeeding bonds you and your baby even
yeah,
more.
definitely. And it builds up their immune system. So I think it's great for him. And I'm really happy, because with my first son, I couldn't actually do that. I think 7 months was the maximum. But even then, it wasn't exclusive. He was having formula. Um, so yeah, I'm glad I'm able to just do it exclusively this time. I think it's so much better for them as well. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's no discredit to those who aren't
Yeah,
able
yeah,
to. Yeah.
100%.
hmm
And you mentioned earlier that you were studying while, and when you found that you were pregnant, was that a struggle to kind of complete your masters or kind of go through it while you're, raising this new baby?
Yeah, struggle is actually an understatement, Victoria, if I'm honest. It was, words can't describe how difficult it was. It was hard enough before I found out I was pregnant, because I think I was on my second year when I found out I was pregnant. So, it was difficult in itself. When I found out I was pregnant, I was tired, I felt sick, I didn't want to get out of bed. Not only was it the studies, it was the thought of, having a new baby and just all the struggles the difficulties that came with it. Um, oh gosh, yeah. There's assignments. I wrote a 12,000 word dissertation while I was, how far gone was I? I can't remember now. Probably like 5, 6 months pregnant. So yeah, it was really difficult. Managing my time and my organization and having Amari, my 10-year-old son. It was just a lot. Yeah.
How did you even stay focused? Because even me, because I was working a full-time job and then I had a business on the side. And when I got pregnant, I was still kind of working on the business, but it was literally like late nights, working on the weekends. Like it was really, really stressful. And I had to stop. I had to stop my business and just focus on just my pregnancy because in the first few months, I had some not complications, but I had some bleeding. So I was just like, my child is the most important. So let me just stop my business so I can focus on pregnancy. But you couldn't take a break from studying. So how did you manage that whole late nights, essays, dissertations, exams, all of that?
Victoria, I don't actually know. I think literally it was just, there must have been God just strengthening me because I feel like it was either I continued or I gave up. And, that came as soon as I found out. I said, I'm quitting uni. I said, I'm not doing it anymore. I just started to get really anxious. I was like, I can't do it. How am I going to manage everything? I'm going to be too tired. I can't write a 12,000 word dissertation. I went to see the uni and I said, can I drop that element of the course? So I only just do the postgraduate diploma, which means I didn't have to complete the dissertation. People, spoke to me. One of the ladies, she's an admin lady at the uni. She's a Christian. She prayed with me. She said, no, you don't need to drop out. You can do this. You will do it. I'm going to be a tester. I'm going to watch you graduate with a full master's, and you're going to get this master's. You're going to complete your 12,000 word dissertation. So I literally, I don't know. I think it was just speaking to people and just, wanting to be an example to my son. I want him to know that you can't just start things in life and just give up. You have to
Yeah.
follow things through. So I said to myself, okay, let me just go for it. So I stuck it out as hard as it was. I did it. And I did fairly well considering I graduated a week after I had him, which was a huge achievement for me. So, yeah, I got through it.
And what made you kind of go into social work specifically? And because obviously you had Amari before you even went into doing your masters. So what made you pick that subject?
I think, to be honest, I've always had an interest in working with families and youth. So from the age of about 15, 16, I was actually training to be a youth worker. So I've always worked with young people or in some sort of childcare establishment, or I was a head of year for a while, so it's always kind of been with young people and families. So after working in a secondary school for about 3 years, I realized that there was no progression unless I wanted to teach, which I knew I didn't. I was actually a pastoral support worker, so I knew that I wanted to do something that meant I could still continue to work with young people and their families. So I thought, what could I do? So I chose the career. I chose to go and do my master's in social work. Yeah, and I thought that would just kind of like open more doors for me. And I think being a young person myself that was looked after, so I was a looked after child myself, me and along with my siblings at one point, because my mum was ill and unable to look after us at some point in our childhood. I feel like that's where a lot of my passion has come from, being able to relate to these young people and their families and just understand, not give them the answers, because I don't believe, even in social work, as a social worker now, that we can solve people's problems, but we can actually be an instrument to, help them along and, put resources in place for them. And so I think a lot of it's just being able to relate really, and having that passion and seeing the direction that society is going in, and just being able to help where I can. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's where my passion for social work came from.
Do you know what? I've never ever like had this convo with you, and it's actually enlightened. It's really good to hear that, because obviously I see you around and I see you in church and stuff, and you always have such a nice light spirit about you. So it's interesting to hear your story and like your past, and that kind of fueled your passion for social work in now. And obviously now you're going to go into work because you're like on a break, so you're on maternity leave looking after your little one, and
Yeah.
you're gonna go into work as a social worker. Like how do you feel kind of leaving him at home to kind of pursue this dream that you've had?
Um, it's mixed feelings, to be honest. I think, in a sense, I'm kind of ready to kind of go out there and, just see what frontline social work it really feels like. Because obviously, I've done two placements, one 70-day one and one 100-day one as part of my master's. However, it wasn't a paid job and it wasn't so much responsibility like a full caseload, for example, and things like that. So I'm looking forward to going out there, getting my hands stuck in and seeing what it's really about and seeing what everyone's talking about. Because, you hear mixed reviews. Some people love their job. Some say social work is just, it's not what it used to be, which I totally get as well. It's because obviously now it's about a lot of paperwork and not so much face-to-face work with the families. But I guess it's about doing the best with it that you can, kind of thing. I think leaving Zakai for a job that is so demanding, again, brings about a lot of anxiety for me. But I think I will never know how it's going to be unless I actually get out there. Initially, I was going to leave him at 6 months, to go back and work. So the plan was for me to start work in April. However, just recently, literally as in Friday, just gone, I've been just thinking about it and, praying and just, is this the right thing for me? Is it the right thing for my child? And I've come to the decision to kind of push it back until he's 11 months, and that's literally just recently. I haven't even responded to the email. So I had two job offers with two different local authorities, and one was more accommodating than the other. They offered to allow me to start 6 months, whereas the other one wanted me to start like really, really early, just after I'd had him. So I turned that one down. And then I recently emailed the one that I did accept and said, would it be possible for me to push it back? He's refusing the bottle. He's not settled. He obviously isn't taking food. He's not weaned yet. So is that a possibility? And they've come back to me and said, we need you to start when you're ready. So they're holding the job for me until, he's
That is
older.
amazing.
Yeah.
Was that a hard decision to make? Because obviously you mentioned you were testing him in the bottle, and if he wasn't getting it, like you didn't want to leave him because of the anxiety. Was that a
Yeah.
hard decision? Because obviously you still want to start your job
Yeah.
and go into what you've studied.
Definitely. Very hard decision. I think having a support network, because my mum said she would help out with him, and my auntie said they would have him, and I know that their parents themselves, they would persevere. They would, keep trying until he eventually took it. But I don't really want to just leave him just like that. I want to know that I'm not at work thinking about, oh, is he okay? Is he eating? Because
Yeah.
I had to leave him a few weekends ago. I think it was last week for my older son's birthday to take him out. I left him with my mum. I fed him up, gave him both breasts before I left, put him to sleep, done all of that. And my mum said he woke up. And although he was happy and content, he just refused to eat. He was fine. I
Oh,
think he cried for like 10 minutes. I left him for like 4 or 5 hours. He was happy, he was laughing, but my mum couldn't put him down. She had to keep carrying him for that comfort, because he just waited until I got back. He refused to take it, and I can't know that I'm doing that 5 days a week to him. I'd rather just, wait until he's, fully weaned, or, you know, fully taking the bottle. But I think for me, one of the biggest factors is the financial aspect. That's the reason why I wanted to rush back, because obviously this wasn't planned. I was going about doing my thing. I should have been working already, so, but life never goes the way we plan. So I think I'm willing to just struggle a few more. When I say struggle, obviously we're fed, we've got food, we've got a
Yeah.
house over, we've got a warm home, got all of that. But I think being able to do the extra things that my son's used to, we're used to kind of going away maybe or doing those little extra activities. Everything's had to kind of, we're budgeting more now because obviously I'm not at work. And my son, he's loving, he's understanding, he understands mummy's not working at the moment, and all of that will eventually come. So yeah, I think I would rather just take the extra few months off. April to September isn't a drastic difference anyway, but at least I've also explained to my older son that I'll be off with him throughout the summer holidays, the full 6 weeks, as opposed to just having to take annual leave and a few days here and there. So he's happy about that. So we're just going to enjoy our summer and just make it what it is,
Do you
And
know
then
what
I'll
is
start in September, yeah.
it's interesting you say that, because I had a chat with another mum,
Yeah.
and she was going into work as well, and it was the same thing was with her. She said that she had to kind of leave her son because of the finances. She was like, I'm a single parent, I have a son, I have a home, I have bills, and I felt really, really guilty, and I had that mum guilt, but she couldn't afford the part-time lifestyle, and she couldn't afford to like not be fully at work.
Yeah.
And that's why she had to kind of, something had to give. But it's really interesting that you're saying kind of not the opposite, but almost like, obviously financially we had to budget, we had to cut down a few things, but at the same time my anxiety and the guilt and everything, like I just couldn't just
Yeah.
leave him and then just go to work, because to be fair, you won't even be of asset to your job, because you're not going to be 100% there.
Precisely.
You
Exactly.
constantly be thinking of him, thinking of rushing back home and everything. So yes, you have to make the decision. Whatever is best for you and your situation, you have to make the best decision for that.
Exactly. And managing a caseload, trying to look after, people's, I can't be looking after, other families and not my own. I think
Yeah.
this is the priority. And that's not to say like, because I was going to go back at 6 months and I was happy to do so. But it's literally, I think if he was taking bottle, I think I would have been ready to go back 100%. But
Yeah.
he's not, and I think I just need to just focus. And that's not to say money is tight, and I totally understand where that other mother is coming from. It's really, especially when you're used to having an income, you're used to getting money, and then suddenly that just goes. And I think this benefit system, they've made a lot of changes. It's not what it used to be and stuff like that. But I'm just grateful. When you just have a lot of gratitude. It could be far worse. There's a lot of people worse off than me. So I just give thanks for my situation and I just make the most of it. Do you know what I mean? So
And how was it with your older son when you told him that you were having another baby? Like, and even now that he's out and he's a little is still young, how is he? How's kind of the dynamics at home? Is he
um
really helpful?
yeah, so he was really shocked when I told him. I think he had an idea because I'd taken folic acid, and on the front I think he's got a pregnant woman or something. So he saw the tablets. So I think that's what he kind of had an idea, but he didn't think. He said no, she can't be. But when I told him, I recorded his response and he was well shocked, but he was happy and he was excited. I think since Zakai's come, he absolutely adores Zakai.
Oh.
Not a day goes by when he doesn't come in. The first thing he does when he comes in from school, comes straight over, hello brother, picks him up, and it's like, Mike, go and take your uniform off, wash your hands, sort yourself out, have a snack. But it's like, no, he's going to bed, he has to say goodnight, he has to play with him. I haven't held him today. So their bond is already strong. As soon as he sees him, like the smile on Zakai's face when Amaya walks into the room is just
Oh.
incredible. And I think initially, we did have a conversation, and Amaya did explain to me that sometimes he wishes that it was just me and him, because he had me for himself for 10 years. Do you know what I mean? So it's like now this baby's come along and a lot of my attention is focused on him. But that doesn't take away the fact that he absolutely adores his brother. He looks at him and says how cute he is. He laughs with him. He just play. I can't believe it. He's just so, I can't even get the words out. He's so helpful. And I think he's quite mature for his age anyway. So he will see a need and he will just, help me. And, yeah, he's really, really good. He's really, really enjoying him.
That is so. It must like bring like almost a tear to your eye when you see your two, the two boys that you love the most love each other.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I just have to remind Omari that he is a baby and, his needs are slightly greater in the sense where he can't communicate what he's thinking and feeling. But also at the same time, I try to make that separate time for Amari. So if Sakai is sleeping, I will spend time with Amari separately. Just try to have the separate time as well. Like on Friday, for example, I'm taking him out. My mom's gonna watch him for a few hours, so he's gonna starve himself again. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But yeah, I'm gonna just take Amari to watch a movie. It'll just be the two of us. So I think that's really important as well. With such a massive age gap, I don't want my son to feel like now he's being neglected. So yeah, it's just finding a balance. But I'm not saying that it's easy, because it really isn't. There's times when I'm just so tired, but you just have to pick yourself up and just do what you can.
Oh. And in terms of like your personal life, how has that changed? Because obviously Amari, your older son is, he's independent now, so he's able to do stuff for himself. So you can still go out with your friends, get your hair done, get your nails done, and have that kind of sense of independence yourself. But now you have to revert back to being a first time mum. Like, how has it been, just to have your own personal life and to kind of do things for yourself?
To be honest, I think so far it hasn't actually been too bad. It's actually been quite good. I think my mum sees that you know, the sort of person I am. I don't take advantage, but when she can, she will help. She will have him for a bit. But she will come here and sit with him. He's dad as well. Do you know what I mean? So I think I've been able to go out a few times since I've had him, but that's not really my priority. And I obviously I know I need to make time for myself, but I guess it's been cold, and I think new mum, you kind of just want to, you're just in awe of the child, so you just want to spend all the time possible with them. But there are times when I want to go out, but because he doesn't take the bottle, I know I can't leave him. And I'm someone that was quite active before he came along as well. I was always out and doing things. My son, he could go somewhere with his friend or whatever. Now I can't do that. But yeah, I've tried to go out once in a while. Christmas was quite a busy time for me. Had a few birthdays and stuff like that. Some I could take him to, some I couldn't. So yeah, I'm just trying to again find a balance really, and just
Yeah,
but
me.
yeah.
I'm literally on the same boat, like just trying to find a balance. I think with my son, like he takes the bottle and he takes the dummy, but it's me that doesn't want to leave him.
Leave him.
So it's like I could leave him like and just have like milk. Like if the other day I even expressed and I put milk in the freezer. I was like, just in case, I need to
Yeah.
rush out. Like his dad can give him some food, but I just want to be around him so much, and I just like I'm so obsessed with him. Like you said, we're still new mums almost, and you're just so infatuated about everything that they do that you just don't. I just don't want to leave him, and I think I need to kind of have some time to myself once in a while.
Oh
I
no,
think.
definitely. It's definitely important, Victoria, and I'll definitely encourage you do that. To be honest, I don't feel like I feel it to your extent. Maybe it's because I've done it before,
Yeah.
or maybe I would happily just say this weekend, yeah, I'll just go out,
Bye.
leave him for a few hours. Do you know what I mean? But then there's times when I'm like, no, I don't want to leave him. My mum's like, just go, you'll be fine. His dad's like, just go, he's not gonna starve. Do you know what I mean? So there are times, but it's just depends on my mood, really. But I
Yeah.
think it's definitely important. Sorry, go on. Yeah.
No, I said I agree with you. I think it is the I don't know, it's a different dynamic where it's just like I think I have this thing also that I'm a bit of a weirdo, but I do get jealous when he has fun with other people. I don't know if anyone else gets. I literally felt that the other day. I was like, my sister was holding him and he was laughing with her and all that stuff. And I'm just like, oh gosh,
You
you
want
give your
that?
smiles
Give it to
away
me.
to everyone. Like, it's not just special to me.
So
So
how do you think how do you think daddy feels when you've
I
got him on your
know, I
breast and he's
know.
looking into your eyes and holding onto your and enjoying it, and he's
Literally,
just
he
sat
says
there?
that.
Yeah.
Like literally, my
So
husband says that he's just like, oh, sometimes just like, oh, I just want to play with him too, or what? I'm like, no, but I like we literally not battle, but there's times where like he's with his dad and I'm jealous, and there's times when I'm with him and his dad's a bit jealous. But I think the alone time I get is literally just sitting in the toilet with like the door locked and watching Netflix for 30 minutes. So, so yeah, I need to do you. I need to just like leave him for like a few hours and just chill. And also, I think some of my friends, if I go out with them, if I don't bring Xavier, they get annoyed with me.
oh, okay, yeah.
So sometimes they're like, oh, I don't see him often, so I know you want to come out by yourself, but just bring him all the time because I want to see him too. So it's kind of like, oh gosh, like what do I do? But I'm gonna take a leaf from your book and just take a few hours just to chill, leave him with my mum or leave him with my mother-in-law, and just like go out with the husband date. I don't think
Exactly.
we haven't actually done that yet.
Hmm.
It's us
Yeah,
two.
you need to remember, Victoria, you were a mother. You were Vicky before you were a
I
mother.
know,
So
I know.
just remember that. Not to say you're gonna be leaving him every day, but just have that time. You know, it's important.
It's good, it's good. But yeah, thank you so much for being on this podcast. You've
No,
actually been
thanks for having
No, you've
me.
been really interesting. I have one more question for you. So, if you had to kind of describe your experience of motherhood in 3 words, what would it be?
Um. Okay, so I would say challenging. Um. Challenging. Sorry. Definitely amazing. Amazing is my actually top one, and rewarding. So rewarding. You know, when you see the transition that they make and how they grow up to be so, caring and loving. Sorry. But yeah, definitely.
Oh, well, it's been so great to have you, and thank you so much for taking the time out. And yeah, and thank you all for listening to this podcast. Make sure you tune back in next week. We have another episode of another new mummy. So make sure you tune in. And if you want to listen to it on any other platforms, you can listen to it on SoundCloud, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and on Podbean. But yeah, thank you, and hope you all have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.